Should you buy a Dreamcast? Let's talk pros and cons, and should you spend your money on one? I gotta put the taco in the video. For a quick history, Dreamcast launched in the US on 9/9 of 99, because why not? After a kind of poor release in Japan. Dreamcast runs a custom version of Windows, and in theory, it was supposed to bring over PC games to the console. Supposedly, it's going to be easier to port stuff. It sold just a little over 9 million units worldwide before being discontinued in 2001. That's right, 2001. Literally only lasted in the States like 2 years. And this was the last Sega console before they switched over to being a third-party developer. So after a shorter lifespan than the Wii U, the Dreamcast really does have a small library if you want to collect a small library console, which is a pro for the console. There's also some really unique games like Jet Grind Radio, the Sonic Adventure games, Samba de Amigo is probably the most interesting one, but also one of the most difficult ones to get everything in good condition. And that's also a downside for the Dreamcast, as a lot of the unique games got ported somewhere else. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 both made their way to the GameCube, and it's cheaper to get there. Samba de Amigo made its way over to the Wii once it finally had compatibility for those maracas, and it's less expensive there. Even Jet Grind Radio found a new home on Xbox with a sequel, and I believe they re-released a digital version of the game. And they're all cheaper on their other consoles. And with a heavy price tag on unique items for the Dreamcast, should you really go for one? My answer is no. And here's why. Most of the games that are unique to the Dreamcast got ported somewhere else. It's just better to go play it on those systems. The GameCube actually has an HD out option. There's little adapters, or you can do the old component cables, but it gives you a better picture than what the Dreamcast can offer, because there was not like a 480p option directly out of the console. Yes, you can do emulation. Yes, there are different mods out there, but GameCube is easier to get that out of. Same thing with the Xbox. And even the PlayStation 2, while it didn't have better graphics, has a really large library, and a lot of the games that came from Dreamcast over to PS2 or were sold at the same time, they play at the same, level. So why not just go there? So really the only reason to collect for the Dreamcast is basically if you're a hipster and you want to be different. Maybe you just want to be the different person in the friend group and you want to go for something different. That's fine. And the Dreamcast is nice that it has 4 controller ports, something that the PlayStation 2 did not offer, but GameCube has 4 controller ports. So I just decided to do a quick price comparison, and I looked at 3 games, and I looked at the console memory card, and just decided, what's actually going to be cheaper. For starters, I just decided to compare the GameCube and the Dreamcast because they both have 4 controller ports, and they both ended up with the same unique games in a lot of cases, the biggest one being Sonic Adventure. Because remember, Sonic Adventure is a Sega-only title until they decided to become a third-party developer and put it on the GameCube. Consoles are fairly similar, but I found that GameCube kind of averaged on the lower side, $90-ish. Dreamcast was like minimum 100, and I'm talking console, cables, controller. Like, that's what you need to start, right? And then you need a memory unit. GameCube, you can find any from 15 to 25, depending how many gigs of storage or megs of storage that you want. And the VMU on the Dreamcast side, usually around $25, and they go up from there if you want like a different color. Then let's look at games. I looked at the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games first off, because sports. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 came on the Dreamcast. Both of them are about, $15-ish. Same thing on the GameCube for 3 and 4. They're all like $15-ish. Then Crazy Taxi, which was like a staple Sega game for arcade games that came over to the Dreamcast. And it's a little more expensive on the Dreamcast. It's about $30. GameCube, you can find a copy for about $20. I just looked at complete and box copies and kind of averaged like price charting and eBay sold listings, and that's approximately where they ended up. The biggest jump though is when I looked at Sonic Adventure 2. Now this game on the GameCube, complete, you can find for about $55 sometimes. Again, this is all based on condition. Some copies go for a lot more, some for a lot less if you just go for box and game or just game disc. But the Dreamcast copy goes for about $120 for a complete and box copy. So if that's a game you're really into because it's Sega and you probably want a Sonic game, just going down the list of those items, I found that to get all that for the GameCube, you're probably going to spend about $200. For the same things on the Dreamcast, you're going to spend about $290. Now this is approximate, but these aren't the only games like that. There's the Resident Evil games, there's Skies of Arcadia, there's all kinds of expensive games on the Dreamcast that you can actually find other places cheaper, which means I don't think it's worth it to pick up a Dreamcast unless you find an amazing deal or you want to be that hipster collector. Seriously, actually going to the GameCube is cheaper, which I didn't think I would be saying. But there are cheaper systems to collect for than the Dreamcast, and I don't think you should start collecting for the Dreamcast at this point. It's too expensive to get into, honestly. The only silver lining I see is there's still a semi-active development out there for indie games, and I've actually seen a couple websites out there that will sell indie games. There's also, I believe, a modding community where you can find other indie games, and that's cool. It's just not as robust as some of the other offerings for other systems. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Would you collect for the Dreamcast? I personally got one on a really good deal, but I don't think I would have bought one straight up if I didn't find an amazing deal. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll catch you next time. If you want to watch something else, YouTube thinks you should watch one of these videos that are going to appear here somewhere. I don't know where yet, but maybe there's a video here. Maybe it's down here. Maybe you should watch one of them because YouTube thinks you're going to like them.